Today we're creating two beautiful line art cards and creating two very different backgrounds to make them shine. So let's get started. Welcome back. It's time for another take two with Therese at Ultinew, and I've got two beautiful cards here using this tall foliage stamp set. Now I do also have the coordinating die, so I'm going to show you a fun way to use that a little bit later on. But I adored this set, and I still do. I shouldn't say adored, like a past tense. I do adore this set. I just have found it difficult to use on my card designs. And I think it's because it's such a large image. So I thought if I'm having trouble, others are too. So I thought I'd share two really simple, fun ideas using this stamp set as line art. So recently I also did a video where I did a couple of smooshed backgrounds and did some line art stamping. I wanted to show you a couple of other ways to create some fun backgrounds to make your stamps shine. Keep your cards really simple and easy to create. The first way that I'm doing this is to create my own ombre blended background. I've got a piece of 80-pound Neenah cardstock here, and I've chosen some bright, fun colours from Ultinew. I find if I'm struggling with the card design, for me it's all about colour. So if I pick some colours that I just love the look of, and love the look of them blended together too, then I'm going to have fun and enjoy my card making. I've got the Coral Berry ink, the Snapdragon, and then the orange cream. I just thought it needed something a little bit darker on the outsides of the actual blended background. And I'm using the large ink blending tool from Ultinew, as I find this is a really quick and easy way to add colour to an ink blended panel. And for me, I've had trouble with blending for years and getting nice smooth results, and the game changer for me has been this particular tool. I do actually come in and recoat the other colours, like the lighter orange and also the coral berry, and that just gives the time for the ink to mix, and it makes it a lot bolder colour, which I love. So with this tall foliage stamp set, I kind of work out how I want my image to be just by peeling the stamp away from the packaging and using the image of the packaging to give me an idea. Now I am going to be die cutting this, so I want to make sure that my die cut's going to be exactly the same, because it does have that sort of end of the leaf stem there, and I could have easily shifted that on my Misty. So by laying the actual die cut on the cardstock, laying the stamp on top, and then picking it up with the Misty lid, chances are it's going to be in the exact place that I want it to when I come down to my die cutting a little bit later on. So I'm stamping the image out with some Obsidian black ink. It's a lovely pigment ink that gives a really good bold black result, which I love on the line art images. It just makes the image pop. Now I'm not sure if you noticed, but this set has the most amazing fonts and sentiments in it, so I just had to use two pieces or two sentiments and join them together for the "Hello, you are my favourite" on this particular card. And I've got the Nesting Slim Rectangles die set, and this is going to be a slimline card, and this actually cuts, the largest rectangle cuts to the whole of the card front, because I'm making a 3 1/4 by 8 1/2 card here. And I just had to do my die cutting of the rectangle before I lined up my second sentiment, so that I knew it was going to be straight. The angles were doing my head in. Now I'm doing some inlay die cutting here, and I put such a small amount of tape on this panel. I probably should have waited for it to dry a bit more, but I didn't, and some of the ink peeled up near the bottom leaf there, but that just provided me a sequin moment. So I basically covered up that little mistake with some sequins on the front of the card. I did think about splattering, but I know I'm trying to hold back on the splattering a little, as I've done a bit of that recently, and trying some other methods of embellishing. Alright, so I did want to actually layer up my die cut, I could have popped some foam dots behind it, but I thought it'd be fun today to actually layer it up. So I did use about, I think it was 5 different layers of cardstock, used my glue tape to add some adhesive, which I find is quite forgiving. I can lift and reshift it if I don't adhere it properly the first time. And once I had the die cut as thick as I wanted, I did add some matte medium just to make sure that it was going to stay in place. And I just had to snip the end off and lay it in like a jigsaw puzzle piece. And no one will ever know that I accidentally pulled some ink off this panel. Not unless they lift up the sequin, and then they can just blame themselves. So for my second background, what I've got here, I wanted to show you that you can also use these long stamps on a regular size card. Like I'm making an A2 size card this time, and it's easy enough to do because you can just use a portion of the stamps. This time I've got a watercolor background, so I am using some watercolor paper here from the paper set from Altenew. It's a lovely white, bright watercolor cardstock, and it does hold up to a lot of water if you do like to add a lot. I did add my water to the card front first and then dropped in my color, so a wet on wet technique here, and I'm using one of the Altenew brushes. It's the size 4. Comes in a set of, I'm gonna say 5 brushes from memory. If not, it's 4. I'm pretty sure it's 5, this one. I will have everything that I've used today, though, linked below, so you can either click through that link and check out that set. It's a lovely new set from Altenew. And to add that watercolor, I did use the artist's watercolors, but you could also use the other watercolor sets from Altenew, or even use the water brush markers. Even ink would work if you smushed it on a surface and picked it up with some acetate. That would look lovely as well. So this time I only stamped a portion of one of the images, and it was the flower. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but that's the thing with clean and simple cards, isn't it? They've got to be perfect. Every little mistake is visible. And there was a tiny little string of probably cat fur that went across the top of that leaf. So what I did to cover it up, I didn't want to use sequins. It wasn't going to work. It was too long. So I chose the Mega U die and actually die cut over that whole portion. And I'm going to be doing the camouflage die cutting technique where I reinsert the same piece of the die cut back into place. So I attached it to some foam. I didn't want to go die cutting lots of cardstock this time, so I just actually added some matte medium, attached it to the same die cut, added some fun foam with some matte medium, and then used some matte medium to adhere that in place. And of course I had to keep all those little bits and pieces and I just reattached them to the base of the card. I didn't actually pop those pieces up on the fun foam so that they're going to be recessed in between the die cut U, and then added a sub sentiment which is heat embossed on some black cardstock, and it's from the Hello and Hugs stamp set. And I just wanted to pop that over top, and that's going to cover where the ink got onto my card where it shouldn't have. And to have it in keeping with my other card design, I did decide to add some more satin white sequins. I usually add these in groups of 3 or 5. So I hope you're inspired to try some line art stamping on some beautiful bright backgrounds. Thanks so much for joining me here today. Till next time. Bye.
Hello crafters, Jen here. For more tips, techniques, tutorials, and to discover which paper crafting products are right for you, subscribe to Altenew's YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Thanks for watching.